Hi, I'm JD Rashad and welcome to my channel. Well, I figured if I speak with an Australian accent that more people will watch my videos. You call that a knife? Anyway, enough of that nonsense. I find the British watchmaking videos get tons of views because they go, oh my god, it's not proper. It's not proper having a watch. It's not feeling good, like that's not proper. Anyway, enough nonsense for now. So here's a watch I was working on. This is a Hamilton 21 jewel railroad grade pocket watch, very high-end pocket watch. I've done a bang up job in getting the whole thing working and running again, but I've got an amazingly high beat error, and I think it's running a bit too, I'll say slow. I think it's running slow, and I've got the regulator arm here jacked way over to fast, and it still isn't running good enough. So I want to do two things. I want to see if I can turn those mean time screws inward to speed the watch up a bit for me, and I also want to I don't want to squeeze the regulator pins together. I'll have a look at the regulator pins, because if there's a lot of space between the regulator pins and the actual hairspring, that can cause the watch to be running a lot slower because there's nothing really cramping it down to regulate it. So it's just bouncing back and forth. So it's like going bink, 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 bink like that. But I want that to be tighter in there, so I'll have a look at the regulator pins to see what the distance is. And let's look at what I have for a bead error situation. So my bead error, I need a pen. All right, here is the hairspring. I can't remember which direction this hairspring goes. The hairspring goes this way, like that, like this, and I'll just make it a short hairspring. And then I've got a collet here, and I'll make the collet like this. That's attaching the hairspring to the balance. There's the collet with a crack in that collet right there. And then the stud of the hairspring is attached to the actual balance cock, which goes like that and out like this. And then you've got that regulator arm I was telling you about that's cranked way over here, which means the regulator pins are over. I need to get another pen. Got me a red one. The regulator pins are over here, one pin there, like that. And if the pins are moved this way more, the watch will be faster. And if they're moved this way more, the watch is slower. I think that S is probably upside down for you. Sorry about that. And this is moved way over to fast. So this is the fast side. And there's all the graduations here until it gets to slow. So the fast is here, fast and the furious, and the slow. If I do this way, if I do it this way, will it be an S? Ah, frig, it's still backwards. I think I got to do it the same way. Anyway, and that's slow. So it's already cranked over to fast. So the balance in its condition here, there is the table, right? The balance, the table. Let me just move this over. So one thing I want to do first is the balance is like this. Let's say these are two balance arms here and a balance arm over here, like that. And there's the balance going around this way and around this way and around this way and all the way around like that. And there should be two mean time screws, usually here at the arm like this. And I should be able to screw those in to speed the watch up, and that thereby trying to get this regulator arm somewhere near the center. So that's first attempt. I'm also going to look at the separation between the regulator pins and the hairspring, because if the regulator pins are like this and the hairspring is floating between there, and it's just basically going back and forth here as it hits the pins, then the watch cannot be sped up properly anyway. So I did separate the regulator pins slightly because they were pinching the hairspring. So maybe I separated them a bit too much, don't know. So that needs to be looked at. That's not a difficult job to deal with. And then the last thing I want to do is check the bead error. So the bead error, get back to my drawing here. I've got my roller table here. Just draw a roller table. And the roller table's got a jewel on it. And the jewel is like this. So there's the jewel, a little half moon like this, and then flat. that's the jewel, and then there's a pallet fork mouth. And in this situation here, let me turn it around this way because this is my perspective. When I look at this, it looks like the regulator pins. This is the mouth of the pallet fork, like this, capturing that jewel, and it goes in like that. And when I look at that, it looks like the jewel's way over on this side. If these were the pins here, not regulator pins, the banking pins. If these are the banking pins, it looks like this is banked way over on this side. So what I actually need to do is do an action that would cause this jewel to move this way, like that, and be dead center in the middle of these banking pins. So kind of a shitty drawing because it would be at an angle a bit more, but I need to do that. So if I were to grab that and just turn it like this, and the hairspring is on top, and this is, I'll just draw the hairspring collet, and let me just draw this hairspring collet like that, and there's the hairspring collet, and it goes around like this, like that, and the hairspring is attached to the hairspring collet, and it goes around like that. And if I were to do this like this, and to adjust where that impulse jewel is in between the two banking pins, I would actually have to take the hairspring collet and turn this counterclockwise. So that would go, you take a screwdriver and put a screwdriver in the mouth of that collet like that. This is a screwdriver. It's a shitty drawing of a screwdriver. And you need to turn that collet counterclockwise this way. And a counterclockwise, so I would be moving this way, and if this stayed where it was, let me see if I got that right here. This stayed where it was, and you turn that, then this would be going, I think I got it wrong. This would be going clockwise, right? Because the same, doing this to this, is that right? Is the same as doing this. Yeah, I think that needs to go clockwise. Am I right here? Do you see if I got this? I'm thinking about it as I'm drawing. This is no damn good. Sorry about that. So I've got the collet, I've got the hairspring attached. I grab the balance and I turn the whole darn thing this way, and the hairspring is steady like this. So if I turn the hairspring like this, then the collet is, and I want that to be in the middle, and the collet stays in the same place. Then the collet is going counterclockwise. Yeah, so you'd have to turn the collet counterclockwise to get the impulse jewel to move inside the middle. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this apart, and I'm going to adjust this by taking a fine screwdriver and putting it in the collet and just twisting that collet ever so slightly. Then I'm going to look inside the movement. Now what I did before, I want to touch this movement with my bare fingers, but what I did before is I looked inside I looked inside here where the actual impulse jewel is, and I looked at where it was with respect to the banking pins. Now I could try to see if you can see that. Let's try that out. All right, there's some micro work I set up for you here, so you can see. Let me get a needle out so I can point with a needle instead of my tweezers, because this might be a little more accurate for pointing. And I'll get that needle right in here so you can see what's going on. So you can see, I don't want to touch the hairspring with this, but let's get over here. So right there, that banking pin on the left-hand side, right in the middle is the pallet fork, and over here is the banking pin on the right-hand side. And you can see how that pallet fork is more over to that left-handed banking pin, more over to the left, right where the top of that, I'll say copper banking pin is, probably brass actually, brass banking pin. And the impulse jewel is in the center there. So this is completely at rest, but the impulse jewel is leaning more towards the banking pin on the, I'll say the outside, because it's the outside to the rim of the pocket watch as opposed to the inside, which is towards the center wheel. Now if I take my finger and just put a little bit of pressure here, you'll see going back and forth. And now where it rests is it's resting over on the other side. So that is what's causing the bead error. And the bead error means that it's swinging one way, not as much as it's swinging the other way. So if I were to take this and physically move this to the center here, I would have to take the collet on the actual hairspring and move it counterclockwise to make sure that is going that way. So it's opposite to the way I'm actually pushing it. So I'm trying to push the impulse to go clockwise, which means that the hairspring collet needs to be moved counterclockwise, ever so slightly. So I want it to be in this situation right there once I'm finished. So it'd be great if I had a test rig, or it would be able to go inside of this without having to remove it to move that collet. But I know it's virtually impossible to do that. And it's a shame, because it would be really nice to be able to just take that collet and go like that without having to disassemble all this. So, but I'm going to disassemble it anyway. So that's what I'm doing. And the other thing I want to show you right now, and I'll focus, is that there's a lot of stress on this regulator arm right here. You can see that screw pushing against the regulator arm. A lot of stress on that, and it's way over on fast, and I want that to move over. So what I need to do is find the screws. That's might be one of them right there, and these are the meantime screws that I'm hoping I can screw those inward. Well, there's one right there. So this screw I can definitely screw inward, and I can screw that inward, which would speed up the watch, but I got to screw its brother, should be on the other side. Let's see if it's visible. It's underneath the movement, but I'm just going to flip this just ever so slightly so you can see that screw too. And that screw is, let's do a peekaboo here, and there it is right there. So you can see that screw as well. I'm going to see if I can focus in on that thing here. I think it's that screw right there. So that screw could go in as well, and that might give me a couple of like seconds maybe of speed amplitude. So my amplitude it'll speed up a bit, so it'll give me a couple of units of speed in the watch by turning those inward. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to adjust this for bead error ever so slightly, and then do that, and I'm going to see where I end up even before I start winding the watch. I guess I can test it after I've done that, but I'm going to do that, and away we go. And that's the next job. So that's all the screws there, and you can see that one there, and it's at 90 degrees to the arm, which I think would mean that it's part of that. But I like this one here could go in too, and that's a meantime screw, I believe. That one there, which means there's supposed to be the equivalent on this side, but it looks like it's already screwed all the way in. Maybe it's not. I might be able to turn those meantime screws. Actually, they weigh a lot more, and they're right at the arm. You don't want to turn other screws that would be temperature screws and other compensating screws. So these meantime, I could do maybe quarter turn or half a turn on the meantime screws and see what it does with respect to speeding the watch up. All right, that's it for now. Let's see if I can do that. So now I've got to take the balance off. First thing I do when I take a balance off, again, give it a little bit of safety pressure here. I could probably put this in the Myers number 58 movement holder to give me some more security with the balance, so I don't have issues. So I'll just tighten it in here like this, and I'm making sure that the lever that's used to actually set the time is over in the corner here, and it's out of the way. It's not getting squeezed at all. Yeah, it's over and out of the way. So that's the lever set mechanism lever. So this is in nice and strong, and I just want to remove the balance here. So I'll put my balance. I'm going to use this high balance tack I have here, and the only reason I'm using that balance tack is because it's got a platform to rest the balance on. So I'm just going to loosen the screw here very carefully if I can find the slot. I think I'm a little too far or a little too close. I'm not sure which it is, but now I had to move the this regulator arm all the way over because it gets in the way of the screw for some unknown reason. So, and I'm just going to put that screw in this little piece of Rodico I have stuck there, and I'm hoping this thing just pops up So I'm just going to wedge this in here and see if it's going to be able to just pop up. It might just simply pop up. It doesn't seem to be. You see, there we go. That's not a problem. It's going to just pop out of there, no problem. And so I just want to, I can collect this as a group and bring it out. I've seen watchmakers do that over the years, like that. That could cause other problems, as I can see right now, because it's kind of squishing stuff. And I don't like that. I have to get this watch carefully on this cock, very carefully, before for some reason it accidentally drops, and then I've got a whole other problem. Come on, find the hole. Alright, so I got it in the hole now, and I just move this over, I think, and there it is there, and it's in the hole. So I think it's still too far away. I don't think I'll do that again, by the way. I think that was kind of crappy the way that worked. It looks like this has also got the ability for the arm to drop through. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but look at that. See, the arm drops through here, which is kind of nice. And if that's the case, I might be able to get at that collet a lot easier, right? So let me just have a look at what I got here. This could be okay. So I want to turn that collet. I want to hold the balance and just turn the collet counterclockwise, just a tad. So I just want to rotate that collet. And I also want to screw in the meantime screws half a turn. So let me have a look at where the meantime screws are. These are one is right here, and the other one is in the opposite side. So one of the meantime screws, I'm going to get a little close, see if I can get a little closer without crowding myself here too much. And let me see, like that. All right. One of the meantime screws is right here, and the other meantime screw is right there. So if I could do like maybe half a turn or quarter turn, I'm not using gloves for this because I want to have the tactile feel for doing this. So I'm going to take this and maybe do half a turn on the meantime screw. Alright, so that's not turning properly. So what I can also do, and I have this device here, and that'll grab the meantime screw like that, and I'll be able to turn that. It's a much safer way of doing it than using a screwdriver, and do a half a turn on it that way. It's funny, there's also a groove on this thing too. Now, is that going to turn it? It turned it. I think that was almost half a turn. Let me just get the other side here. So it was almost half a turn, I think. And I'm going to try this side, and this is the other meantime screw here, to see if I can get a half a turn on this one as well. I got to be very careful here because I don't want to damage anything. Usually I free float it. And let me see if these are turning. This is turning as well. Yeah, it is. Oh, good. There's a half a turn there, and I just release this. The only thing I don't like is that when it's free floating, I have more control and I'm not worried about ruining anything, like pressure, putting any undue pressure on anything else. So let me look at this balance here, and if I'm able to very carefully get a screwdriver in there, then I might be able to turn that. So I'm going to check and see if my screwdriver, very small screwdriver, maybe this one right here, I want to make sure it's not magnetic. So I have to test this for magnetism, and if it's magnetic, I want to demagnetize it. So I'm going to get a little tiny, my little compass I use, and see what this does. And it's doing a little bit of it, but I'm not sure whether it's just because it's metal or not. Right? So that's the other part here. So But what I'll do is I'll demagnetize this anyway before I do that. All right, it's been demagnetized. Now I want to, I'm not sure if it's this one or the other one I want to use, so I think this one is fine as well. This is a brand new blade in this one here, so I want to get that blade in there and very carefully turn that counterclockwise. So I think when I do this, I don't want it to be resting on this thing here, because if it's resting on this thing, there's that minute chance that I put pressure by pushing the balance against this rotating object here. So I'd rather have it free floating. So let me see if this free floats if I just let it go like that. Yeah, more or less it free floats. That's not too bad, I guess. So I need to get in here, and I'm going to actually turn on the lights, one of the lights on my, there we go. Turn one of the lights on my micro camera here, my microscopic camera, and move that closer. And I almost ditched the camera right into the movement. That's not good. You back this off a bit before I screw something up. And put that in there. And this is all very testy stuff, man. It's very testy. And I could probably use the microscope for this. All right, so it doesn't get any more clear than that. So let's see if I can actually do this. I'm going to take my hat off and everything because I want to have 150% focus, arms rested on desk, everything. So I'm going to come in here like this, and I want to turn that counterclockwise. So I want to get in at an angle like that, and just put my screwdriver in and then turn call it counterclockwise. I think that worked. I think I did that. I may have turned it a bit too much, actually. Yeah, I think I may have turned that a bit too much. I'm going to turn it back just a little tiny bit. Like that. And now I'm going to reassemble and see where that sits with respect to the banking pins. So let's do that job. All right, I've put it back, the balance back. I've got a very small wind on it, but I'm going to put in the screw here and just hold this down with my Bergeron stick, and I'm holding it down super lightly, right? And I'm hoping and praying that I've got the right amount of turn on that collet to put the impulse jewel in the center of the mouth and the arms of the balance sort of on either side of the there. That's pretty good there. Now I could just simply wind it up some more, because I might as well do that, and then put it into the timing machine to see what I've got. One or the other. I'm not sure what to do. One or the other. Just dropped my phone out of my pocket. Let me think. It's not going to take me much time to take power off the watch. I'm not wearing gloves. I apologize, but it's too friggin' bad. This is very touchy stuff, and I want to be able to take power off the movement. So I want to do this, and I'm trying to do this under camera, but the camera is kind of a micro camera, so you'll see what's happening from a micro perspective. So I'm going to take power off the movement. I could put a glove on for this, but anyway, do that, and then get the ratchet out of the way, and then let the ratchet wheel walk itself down until there's no more power applied to the movement at all. So that's right there. That's perfect. And then I'm going to get my pad out here, because I think this worked perfectly before, and look at where the pins are with respect to the arm. I think they're looking pretty good, actually. So let me lower my camera and we'll have a look. So that looks pretty good. It's almost dead center, so I'm going to put a little tiny bit of power on this watch here And see, I may have turned it too much. So yeah, it's over to the other side a bit too much. So I turned it a bit too much, but I'm going to wind this thing up anyway and see what the time grapher says. All right, the time grapher said minus 99 and 2.6 is now the beat error. Now I think that 2.6 beat error might be in the other side, which means I got to move that collet back again. So let's do that. So I got to tell you, one thing I really hate doing is taking that balance on and off, because it's just nerve-wracking. I don't trust that nothing crazy is going to happen. I'm super concerned about the hairspring when I do that and everything else, so I don't like doing it. Once I've taken it off and put it on, I don't like to play with it anymore. So that is something that it unnerves me when I do that. So here we go. And I think I'll put the balance on this tack right here. This is a tack I made. I know it's kind of tacky, but see if this comes off nice and easy. And I want to grab enough of this balance that it doesn't have the thought of coming out or anything. So come on. It needs to clear the rim of the and we'll just put that on there, and that makes me feel a lot better. So that's sitting on there, and now I can do the adjustment. All right, so in this case here, I'm going to move this back a bit and see if that makes a big difference. So I have to put the I think that's the wrong screwdriver or something. I didn't seem to want to move it the way I wanted it to move. So I'm going to get the white screwdriver, I think, was the one that gets in there nicely. So kind of looking where it is with respect to the angle here. So, and I hate the fact that the there, I think that is good enough. And the other thing I'm going to check is the width of the actual regulator arms here, to see if those regulator arms are in there nice and tight. Oh no, you know what? I've got a little tiny bit of a gap in the regulator arms. So I want to bring those in just a bit, because that's probably not helping my amplitude. This is not an easy job to do. Especially under the duress of cameras. Let me see if I can just adjust this while we're watching. There we go. And you can see that very small gap in the regulator arms. I'd like to remove that gap, if I could, just a bit, and have those regulator arms pinching it just a bit more. And that should do. Hopefully it's not too much. And you don't want it binding the hairspring. So that's pretty good there. So I've moved that in a bit, which might help speed it up a bit. So, and now I'll just reinstall it in the watch and test it. And the watch again is ticking nicely, and I just have to get my Bergeron stick, grab that screw, and put that back in, and hopefully I've got success this time. Because this little bugger has been fun. And you can see how much of time it takes. So when you say I want to get my watch serviced, anybody watching out there, including current customers, this is not like a 2-hour job. This takes time to do on a very high-end pocket watch. That seems to be running exceptionally well, by the way. So I'm just going to see what kind of speed I've got. But what I want to do first, before I finish that, is I want to move this regulator over this way. So I think I can do that with my by just putting a bit of pegwood on here and pushing it over and then adjusting the screw. So I'd prefer to do that than to use the screw itself to push it. So, because I'm always concerned about breaking that screw. I've had to replace those screws before. They're not easy to find and or replace. So if I push this kind of to center, get my hand out of the way here. Like that, then I can move the actual pin here. To match up with it, and then push it a bit more, like that, and then move the pin. I find this to be a lot safer because that screw is a very long screw, and just actually trying to turn that screw to push that without real leverage, because there's no real leverage with that distance here at all. So there, I've got that kind of in the center, and now I can just test this and see what I've got at the end of the day. So that's how I recommend doing that, by the way. So I'm sorry that was a little bit out of focus for you, so we'll just make it a little more out of focus, and there we go. And so that's probably a safer way of doing it than just horking down on the screw. So the amplitude was 260. It was running a bit slow at minus 90, which is a lot better than it was before. And I've got it in the center right now, so I might be able to fix that by moving it over. But my beat error was 3.9, and I'm not sure which way that beat error is. So I'm going to take power off the watch and check and see where that the arm of the pallet fork ends up between the banking pins. So to me it looks like it's back over on the left hand side a bit, which means I've got to turn that baby counterclockwise again, because it's back over on the left hand side, as you can see, and so that needs to go counterclockwise once again. So we're going to take it apart and do it again. Alright, after lots of beat errors and all kinds of wonderful stuff, I may have changed the beat error 15 times. This is where I've ended up. Minus 4 seconds a day, 0.9 beat error. It's just trying to work itself in, I think. This is pretty damn good compared to what we had. I got that beat error as close to 0 as I could get it without ruining anything. So I got plus 9 seconds a day, 0.9 beat error. That is excellent stuff, guys. Excellent stuff. I'm very, very proud of what I've done here. I can adjust that no problem at all. Alright, so there's the watch, and I've got it in the clamp here, and this is where I've gotten it to be, and that's pretty damn good. 1 millisecond beat error, I can't fart with that collet anymore. 0.9 second or 0.9 millisecond beat error. I've played with that collet a million times, and you go one way, then you got to go the other way, then you got to go the other way. I mean, Jesus. And I've centered it and said, okay, how close to center can I get it? So what I need to do is invent some collet adjustment device. The good news here is if you look at the regulator arm here, and just have a look at that regulator arm, if I can stretch my camera out, it is now in the center. So now you can fine-tune adjust this watch, and it's going to hold a very nice 0.9 and 0.5. And I can get that to 0 just by taking it down a bit. Maybe I'll try that. Alright, I don't want to brag, but 0 seconds per day, 0.9 millisecond beat error. And like I said, I can't fix that collet anymore, but look at the amplitude is 280, 281. That's an excellent amplitude, an amazing beat error. I had to take that balance out of the watch probably 20 times to adjust that. I had to do a lot of work to adjust it. So that's the result. I'm not sure what it'll show in all the other positions, but this is far better than I had before. I had a 5 or 6 millisecond beat error, and it was way off. It wasn't running fast enough. I adjusted the mean time screws. I also adjusted these side screws, which are also adjustable too, to bring those in a bit. So I did that to actually help me with the compensation. So that's it. That's the watch. Let's just get this thing back together again. All right, I'm very, very happy. I had very bad numbers initially when I got this watch working. So I did a little bit of work on the compensation screws there and the mean time screws actually. I did take that, if you can see that hairspring there, the pins are a little bit closer. There's still a little bit of back and forth on them, but that's not too bad. I did not want to squeeze the hairspring, and I'm looking at the regulator arm, and it's just a little bit off from center right now, but I have it running just a bit plus in dial down because dial up is a bit negative. So I just wanted to make sure they're kind of equal out. They equal out. So that's running around plus 4 seconds a day. I got it to 0 without a problem. But when I flipped it around, it was like -10. So I wanted to get it kind of running equally. So that's pretty darn good, I think. So this old beast is good to go. One thing I did forget to do, if you've noticed, is I forgot to put the screws back in here. So I'm just going to have to put those screws back in. They wouldn't affect it much because this thing was in pretty darn tight. So I'm just going to do that, and that'll finish off the watch, and then I'm going to case it. It's in very good condition, and I think the owner will be super happy with what he's got here. And I'm going to put this video up. I'm very happy myself of what's happened with this watch. At the end of the day, I had to take it in and take it out and take it in and take it out of the movement. That balance had to come in and out of the movement. I think 20 times I did this, and just adjusting that collet, oh my God, it's very difficult. But having this microscope is invaluable, and without this, you don't know which direction you're going with respect to turning the collet. So I knew which way I had to turn it every time. It's just very difficult to find a mark on the balance rim that would tell me how far I turned it, the reference mark. So I think I want to invent something that allows me to adjust that collet. I put it in a frame, and then I just go, and the lever adjusts the collet. So I think I may go into inventor mode and do something. So thanks a lot for watching. It's been a long one, but hopefully a little bit of gratifying. But I'm very, very happy with where I've gotten with this watch. And please tune in next time, and I'm sure there'll be more exciting videos to follow. So thanks a lot. Thanks for subscribing to my channel, and thanks for the adventure that we had here. And one last segment to the video. Got it all back together again. As you can see, in impeccable working condition. There it is there. Thing of beauty. And done. So, and running very well. So there we go. So that is my video for today. I've done a few of them lately, but this is my video. I'm very happy about this one. This one was not running well at all, and it had a crazy 5-6 millisecond beat error, and I got it running exceptionally well. So that's it. So thanks a lot. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. I hope that you enjoyed the video today, and let's get some more watch work done. And it's all aces as far as I'm concerned. Look at that shine. Wow. Bam! Right in your eyeballs. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.